Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you for joining me here today. We're taking a closer look at Celer, which is CELR, and it's a cryptocurrency that is actually doing quite well here today. And I just want to cover this because my community had asked me to review it, so thank you very much for reaching out and letting me know about this. Also, just bear in mind this is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. And I'm not a financial advisor. I am essentially just here to help you understand best practice and to help you find a good entry point. So always do your own research, okay? Furthermore, there is $25 in Bitcoin available from Voyager, link in the description below, as well as a link to my Patreon account if you'd like to show your support, and of course, my Telegram community. Fantastic group of folks there. Please get engaged and let's all learn and grow together. Now without further ado, let's go ahead and check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look at Celer, which is CELR. And before we do, we always take a look at Bitcoin and Ethereum to kind of get a baseline of what's going on in the market right now. That way we understand, what's influencing the price action and just generally what's going on, right? It really helps to do that when you make a decision to invest. You always want to look at the entire market. And we're then going to go ahead and take a look, of course, at the 1-day chart, the 4-hour chart, 15-minute, and possibly even the 1 minute to identify, big picture all the way down to the cellular level. So first things first is Bitcoin. Let's look at Bitcoin first. All right. So Bitcoin, we got this, first of all, this is a 4-hour chart on Bitcoin. And the reason why I use this chart to just kind of take a quick look is just because the moving averages work the best on this chart. And that is the whole point and purpose, just to identify that. But just bear in mind, this is Binance. I'm using Binance trading application. It's a desktop app. And I'm using TradingView within that. And if you need to know how to enable that, in the top right-hand corner, you just click on TradingView and that's how you find it. It's default to original. Okay. All right, so Bitcoin, taking a look here. First of all, we have a support level down at about 43,000. I guess it's more of an approximate support level. It does look like it's been tested. I'm going to move that about 4 times now at about 42,300. That's more likely the support level at this point, and the price is just hovering right above that. Looks like it's going to probably do another sell-off again soon, but we don't exactly know. All right, so taking a look here, we got the next major resistance level is about 46,800, and above that, right about 53,300. All moving averages are traveling above, so honestly at this point, Bitcoin is in dire shape, not looking so good. It's got about 6 resistance levels to jump above if it wants to be able to, get out of this mess and hit 60,000, okay? Every passing day, the odds seem to be losing and lowering essentially, and I don't really know what's going to happen. But it's it seems like all season is right around the corner. Kind of exciting times though. I'm really not too upset with that. So looking at, let's see here, Ethereum. Let's look at that next. And Ethereum is actually kind of performing exactly the same as Bitcoin is right now. In other words, we see the same patterns from Bitcoin. Same selling off. It's not as exaggerated, but it is still present. So that tells me that, market capitalization is shifting, right? Obviously it's coming away from Bitcoin going somewhere. If it's not going to Ethereum, which it normally does, where is it going, right? Likely ADA and a few others, but at this point in time, it does look like Ethereum is essentially kind of, I wouldn't say plateaued, but it's kind of drawing dead for a little while. So we'll see what happens. Be interested to see if it can recover and continue to increase. But it's presently right around 3,320. All right, so let's take a look at Celer. And what we do, again, of course, look at the 1-day chart first, work our way down. Look at the 1-day chart, we can see that in the last 2 days, we've had some pretty significant increases in price. So let's just quickly identify that. Yeah, that's pretty big. So approximately 77% in 2 days. And when I say 2 days, this new trading day just opened. In other words, this has only been about an hour or two's worth of data. So all in all, pretty significant increase and very strong increase in the most recent 12 hours. So that being said, price is over the 50-day moving average, which is fantastic, as well as the fact that it is over the 100-day moving average. So the price is starting to average out. It's finding its average true range in this channel. So anywhere between, just say 45 cents, correction, 0.045, upwards of 0.08 is the current channel. Now it's a large channel. It should narrow itself down likely to the upper half of this, but at this point in time, that's roughly what we're looking at. Now, something also to note, and let's go ahead and take a look at how Bitcoin has influenced this, because when we see these sell-off points, we want to see if there's a correlation, right? Commonly there is, but I like to make sure to identify it. So the 17th was the first major sell-off day for Bitcoin. So we did finish on a green bar on the 17th still, but as Bitcoin sold off, so did the price for Celer. So obviously it was impacted by that. And what's interesting as well is on the 25th, which is essentially the first day Bitcoin increased, so did Celer as well. So it does appear to be following it pretty close. But what's great about this, and I love the fact that the price action is moving up right now, contrary to Bitcoin, tells us that the price range for Celer has been pushed down for too long, and it needs to be up in this range here. So I'd venture to guess that the price, the support level, should be somewhere in the range of about 0.067, and the probably resistance at about 0.081. We'll mark those on a shorter time frame, but that's generally what I'm seeing here, which is a very good sign. Also note the RSI is still well under 70, so there's plenty of room for growth, and the MACD does appear to have shifted upwards towards bullish sentiment. 4-hour chart. Let's go ahead and take a look at this guy here. So I see a few good things here. First of all, the volume is nice. I like the increase in volume. We've got some pretty strong green volume bars there. One red volume bar because it had to retrace and kind of slow down and ramp back up again. So I like the fact that it retraced here just recently. That's a good sign. We need to have that in order for it to continue to progress upwards. The MACD does appear to be extended, which is normal, and as well as the fact that the RSI is also over 70, but it's not necessarily a cause for concern just yet because it just peaked up over and it's calming down. The RSI could literally relax for the next few hours and ramp back up again for a second push. Okay? So not a problem when we see that's the way that it is. Another thing to note as well is the moving averages. The price is above all three moving averages right now, and that's a very healthy sign on the 4-hour chart. Okay, because these are usually the heavily weighted moving averages in regard to just the industry standard. The 200-day moving average is probably the most important, and that really tells us that the price does need to be above this point. Okay. Looking at the 15-minute chart, let's go ahead and quickly touch on this here. So the RSI has peaked over a few times but kept relaxing and coming back down. I like this movement because, as you can see, it jumps up over 70 and kind of consolidates and continues that pattern. That shows a very significant bull run and a bull pattern, which is great. So let's go ahead and remove the moving averages and go ahead and turn on the EMA and the VWAP line. Now, as you can see, the EMA line is working as a support. It lost for a moment with a slight variance and is still working as a support. So be interested to see how that will be tested here soon. So the next 15 to 30, possibly an hour, we're going to see that come back down perhaps and be tested and hopefully bounce and continue upward, right? Because we've got this nice retracement that happens as a result of the price coming up too quickly, but it wasn't too terrible. It was good enough to be able to bring the RSI down and to relax a little bit so we can get back up again. Okay, so these are all really good things. I like the way the price is moving. And just to clarify too, if you're not familiar with the 15, the EMA 15, that's the one that I use. Industry commonly will use the 9 or the 20. They'll use both of them usually. And in this scenario, I like to use the 15 because it splits the difference, right? And what that basically just means is as soon as the price comes underneath EMA, it kind of implies that there is bearish sentiment. And if it's above, then it's considered bullish. Now, it can test consistently like it has before, like this right here. This is awesome. We like to see it test. But when it comes down, test like it did there and slightly reject, but then bounce back up, that tells us the price needs to be a little bit higher. This is a very good sign here. Okay. The VWAP line is also a good indicator too. If you're unfamiliar with that, the VWAP is the volume weighted average price. It just takes the volume of the last 24 hours and expresses it as a price. So you know what the actual average price should be right now. So at this given point in time, we're looking at 0.07 as the average price according to the VWAP, according to the volume in the last 24 hours. So the price being above that, that's fine, that's normal. We just want to be careful not to let the price go too overextended, which is why we're seeing this retracement right now. Because if you see the VWAP line here, and the high point is about 16%, that is way too high for comfort's sake. Anytime you see the price derive away from that, essentially, and create a significant variance, then that's when the price will start to reduce and come back down. which is what we're seeing there. So it's kind of leveling itself out, it's averaging itself back out, and it could be preparing for another bull run. So if you're going to consider taking entry, I always recommend waiting because I'm more of a conservative trader. I like to wait until the price bounces off the EMA line and gives me confirmation after no less than 30 minutes on the 15-minute chart, which preferably I like to see 2 solid green bars moving in upward fashion. Also, when it comes to the 1-minute chart, if we take a look at this here, same rule applies as well, but I like to make sure that we see 3 solid green bars closing in upward fashion above support. Let me give you an example of what that looks like here. So if we're looking at taking entry, say we're right here, we're just waiting for the price to come up on the 1-minute chart. Well, it's above EMA, yes, true, but it's not over the VWAP line. Not good. So to me, I don't ever take entry when the price is below the VWAP. I think it's risky. I don't think it's ideal because it works as a resistance line. So as you can see, it's working as a resistance, keeping the price down. And right here, the price jumps up over EMA, so that's great. But it hasn't yet given me confirmation. So what I do is I'd wait for 3 solid green bars above confirmation, in other words, above the support level. Okay, so these 3 here, this is number 1, number 2, and number 3. Okay, so looking at that, let's zoom in a little bit so you can see it better. Sorry, that's a terrible circle there, but those 3 are what I look for in order to take entry. And the reason why I do that is because, again, the price is over VWAP, and as you can see how it broke this resistance level? It jumped up quite quickly, and that's normal when a resistance or support level is broken, right? So we saw that break upwards, and I would wait for that confirmation. So once I see those 3, I would essentially take entry at approximately this point. Now I wouldn't stress when the price comes up and comes back down because I would wait for the actual confirmation of the price being confirmed off the EMA line. So this EMA 15 tells me that, hey, the price is still moving up, still got positive momentum, and it's coming up in another fashion. So if we see this here, you see these other 3 bars that are closing above the EMA line and the VWAP. That would be a case in point to add to your position. Okay, so normally I would do a 20 to 30% position initially, wait for confirmation, that's my confirmation, add another 20 to 30% here, and write it out until I see the RSI come up over 70. Okay, in other words, once I see the RSI come up over 70, that's roughly around this point, I would keep a close eye, pay attention, and wait. And if you see the MACD coming up as well and continuing, then you're all good to go ahead and write it out. The time that I usually try to exit my position is when I see the RSI coming back down, or possibly come all the way back down to past that 70 point. In other words, RSI at 70 started right here at this point here. So this is RSI 70 right here. Okay. Now RSI doesn't come back down until right here. Okay, so that's still some good profit when you think about it. So say you take an entry back here, add to your position here, you would have some significant growth of no less than 6.5%. But say you did the same exact thing and you got out when the RSI immediately peaked up over 70, you would have left your position prematurely and only got in maybe 4 to 4.5%. Again, it depends on how you consider the average position there, but generally speaking, it's still lower gains, right? So be mindful of that. Don't just see the RSI over 70 and just get out of your position. It's not advantageous to consider doing that. Sometimes there's rare times where it can be helpful and price reverses and you get lucky. But for the most part, when you see this kind of momentum and you see this kind of trend, especially when it bounces off and you get that second confirmation, you write it out and see where it goes and make sure you wait for the RSI to start making its way back down instead of going up, right? So you catch the back side of the hill, not the front side. And that'll get you a lot more gains there. So hopefully you found this beneficial. I just try to get as much of the point across as possible. These are the little things that I do. They keep me safe. They keep me profitable. And I'm not a risky trader. I'm very risk averse. So these are the confirmations I like to look for, and this is a perfect position to be in. So if you're going to try to take entry again in this scenario, wait for confirmation above VWAP and EMA on either the 15 or the 1 minute chart. Wait for 3 solid green bars on the 1 minute chart or 2 solid green bars on the 15-minute chart. Okay, again, you're preferably going to use the 1 day chart, the 1 minute chart if you are using, you're more of a day trader and you're kind of just doing a very short time. In other words, 30, 60 minutes, maybe an hour or 2. But if you are doing anything longer than that, just say a swing trade of anywhere between 1 to 4 days, 1 to 30 days, then you're going to want to probably use the 15-minute chart, because there's a lot of noise on the 1-minute chart. Try not to worry about that too much. Okay, so as you can see, price is coming down. It might test the VWAP line. We'll see what happens. But just be mindful of these things, and please use what you can. And obviously, if you find benefit, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to share this, and join my Patreon account if you'd like to show your support. And we also have an awesome Telegram and Discord channel as well. All this is in the description below. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for joining me here today. We'll see you in the next video.